Hello everybody, I hope my microphone is on. Yeah, it is. We can start another round with Lucid here at the collision repair and refinish stage. So I have Jake with me. Thank you for joining, taking the time. Give us a visit here at the iCar SCRS refinish stage. So how are you doing?
It's always good to see you, man.
What's new at Lucid?
Everything is new at Lucid. It seems like a lot going on. We've tripled production in Q3, so we're putting a lot of cars out.
Wow.
And just trying to stay ahead of owners and making sure that they're happy with what they got. And you know, unfortunate accidents happen, and you have to respond to that as well. So it's been a lot of fun.
Awesome. I'm absolutely, you know me now for a while that I'm so in this electric vehicle world and
Right.
that I'm so intrigued by your technology. So
Yeah.
when it comes to how fast you can charge, what is the range of those vehicles,
Yeah.
this is really, really impressive.
Well, it takes a lot of the fears, if you will, that EV owners and new EV owners potentially have. The range anxiety is real with folks. The charging infrastructure has still got a ways to go, but when you have a really long range car that charges very quickly, suddenly it's not such a big deal, you know. It's what we inspires range confidence is what we call it. So anyway, but one of the things at Lucid is that we're all about customer first, car second, making sure that they have what they need and they have the resources. And I'm honored to work with a really talented team that's really hyper focused on the car itself. And it's a very different car than even regular EVs. So we're trying to prepare our shops and everybody that's involved in the repair cycle to handle a car like a Lucid Air.
Yeah. So the whole customer experience, let's maybe start over there, is completely a new way of selling cars, of servicing those vehicles.
Yeah.
And I know you have always a nice presentation about augmented reality, how you present the
Well,
options and stuff like that.
Well, you
So-
think about it like people when they buy a car, there's two things they don't like about their car ownership experience. Buying the cars and fixing the cars. It's always a pain in the butt, right? It's always 4 hours of your life you don't get back, you know what I mean? And so we actually sell the cars online, they configure it online, and we use virtual reality at our studios to configure the vehicle that they built online, and we put them in a headset and we build the car around them. And so we have test drive cars that they can go and drive that car and feel it, and then we set them up for delivery. And service is the same way. We're really on that white glove treatment to bring mobile technicians to their house as needed, and then working with our certified body repair network to be customer facing for us. So it's a very different service and sales offering for sure.
Yeah. So what I did a couple of times is I went to regular dealerships and they had an electric vehicle, and then I start talking to the sales guy, and I recognized really fast he has no clue about an electric vehicle, but he wants to sell it. And I always try to educate now a little bit those folks to say, so what is the questions I would ask somebody?
Yeah.
So my first question would be, so what is your battery capacity?
Right.
And the battery capacity is the tank size, the gas tank size. Is it a 20 gallon, a 30 gallon? And I know Lucid, I think you have a 118 kilowatt hour battery.
Correct.
What is a really, really strong, big tank?
Yep.
So another question I would ask, so what is the intake of your battery? It's a really cool question. You have to do this.
Yeah.
Ask, what is the intake in your battery? Like, okay, how much kilowatt can the battery take in when you charge? Then this determines how fast you can charge.
Meanwhile, that sales guy is like, kill me now. Who is this guy?
Who's this guy? So Lucid, I know you have a 300 kilowatt battery intake.
Right.
So when you go to Electrify America, what is one of those charging companies, they have superchargers with 350 kilowatt.
Right.
So they give 350 kilowatt out. Your car can intake 300, but you need only 100 to recharge 80%.
Right.
So it means that's the 20 minutes what we always talk.
Well, you know, I think that really people focus on the cars themselves, perhaps a little too much. and they don't really think about the chargers are just as high tech, if not more high tech than the cars.
Yeah.
Honestly, they the ones I've encountered personally, I have not experienced one that can give me 350 kilowatts yet.
Yeah.
It seems like they advertise that it will, but I haven't seen them do it yet. So I think that's something that could come later down the road. But you're trying to meet a customer's expectation on what it takes to charge my car and how much time and how do I need to plan that effectively. The good part is there's a lot of mobile apps out there to where they can determine what can I do with my 20 minutes or my 30 minutes? Is there somewhere I can eat? Is there a gas station nearby where I can go and get food or whatever? And there's a lot of apps that help with that. And so, I tell people all the time, I'm like, if you're coming from a gas vehicle, you can't use an EV like a gas vehicle. You don't drive around with a full tank. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Only put in what you're going to use, right? And make sure you've got a robust charger at home. That's going to be your 90% of your charging's done there. So
Yeah. So let's say I made a mistake, I have an accident, I hit something. So how is the process as Lucid when I have a little accident and I need a collision repair? So how that works from the insurance perspective, how you deal with that, to the intake, how I know where is my shop, and how is this that whole experience?
Yeah, so we determine, number one, the customers are going to contact us through customer care. Remember, we don't have dealerships, so they call customer care for everything, for whether it's warranty items or it's, my car has a flat tire, all the way to I've been involved in a collision. And I work very closely with our customer care team to where, if there's a body-related issue, paint-related issue, then I want to make sure that car ends up at one of our certified repair network shops. And there's a lot of times I personally get involved with the owner to help them understand why this shop on this particular car. Because you're getting where these owners have had other luxury brand vehicles, and it seems like they always have a guy. They always have a guy that works on their cars, right? And I said, well, not in this situation. In this situation, we have a very different car. It's twice as powerful as regular EVs. So they have to have the correct tooling and training, and that's why we do it this way. But on the other side of things, we have a roadside program where we'll pick the car up from your house and take it to the certified repair facility. And our body shops, if we sell restricted parts to them, then the expectation is they upload to us how that part was consumed. So if it was a high voltage component, right, we want to see diagnostic health reports pre and post, that the network is operating properly and we don't have any problems, right? Same thing with structural components, safety and ADAS, all those things are restricted. And we have measurements that we want to see from our certified shop that they did it our way and they did it the right way. And that protects our owner, And so we try to build that confidence in the vehicle owner during a time of crisis with a repair.
So when it comes to the ADAS repair, so what kind of tools you guys using? How you calibrate? So what kind of system has this Lucid in the first place? So you guys definitely have like lane assist and all this stuff. I don't know what system has and how you calibrate those systems and how important is it, especially after an accident?
Well, I'm losing it.
Jake is taking a break, so maybe he saw Kimberly and
I'm trying to choke myself.
So,
all right, so
he's back. He's back in the game.
Yeah, I'm back. Okay, so our car does have 32 sensors, 14 cameras.
How many sensors?
32.
32 sensors. Wow.
And it runs a system called Dream Drive, which is our ADAS suite, if you will. It is a suite that actually we've future-proofed. So we've added components to the car that we haven't turned on yet. So the best way to think about it is at one point your iPhone did not have Siri. And then one day you got Siri. And you were also instructed on how to use Siri, right? So same thing with our car. We've actually loaded the car with LiDAR, long-range radar, short-range radar, surround view camera system all the way around. And with software and over-the-air updates, we will only increase the capability of the car and the various systems that use that hardware. And so that's pretty exciting from an owner's perspective, because suddenly a car will be very different 6 months from now than it was when you bought it.
Wow.
And so our new user interface just went live last week. So select owners we're starting to roll those out too. And that enhances the navigation, does some bug fixes and things like that you see in software updates. But the cool thing is that when after the update completes, there's a little tutorial that shows you what was added to the car and what changed from the last time you drove it. And that way the owner knows, hey, now I've got these features available and they can use them.
Wow. So I know you have selected as a tool to calibrate those cameras or sensors, the TruePoint tool from Snap-on, I think.
Yep.
So
Yep.
how is the experience with it?
So, we wanted to have a high-tech process, and I won't say a high-tech process, but a very uniform process to calibrate the vehicles without using, sticks and paper and pieces of string and things like that. Things that could create lots of error, right? Lots of human error. And so we partnered with Snap-on their TruePoint tower, and they made some proprietary targets that are unique to our car. They're numbered with Lucid part numbers at the bottom. And then we use our diagnostic system, which is the Lucid, the LDS, which sends all the bidirectional commands to the car. So what's cool is, like in a surround view camera, for instance, normally with other brands, you have to calibrate the entire car. You have to set up mats all the way around the car, right? Well, in our car, if you hit the right side, you only calibrate the right side. So that helps with the space requirements. So when they're trying to have an area big enough to calibrate a car, they don't need to do the whole thing. They can just do the side that was serviced.
What is pretty smart that you are so progressive thinking about how we can help the shop. Nobody has that space. Nobody has this 100% super leveled floor and things like that. And I know the
TruePoint calibrate, it actually compensates for an unlevel floor, right?
Yeah.
Some other things that my colleagues have done is that they've implemented 3D printing into the tooling. So our jigs for hanging doors, for instance, are 3D printed. And we were able to save our shops a good amount of money by not having those tools made out of metal. And if they break, we can 3D print the piece that broke and just send it to them. They don't have to buy a whole new tool set. So I got to credit my team. They really thought about it from a technician's perspective and a shop owner's perspective on how to service a car that's very new.
So is Lucid planning to get more models, different models on the street?
Yeah.
How is that looking?
Yeah, so we have 2 trim levels that are entering production very soon. We have the touring version of the Air, and these are the lower price point Airs. So trimmed a little bit different. The Pure will start next year, and it's got the metal roof on it instead of a glass roof, but that's going to be our entry level Lucid Air. And then we're working on Project Gravity, which is our SUV.
Oh, okay. I think SUV will be big, especially.
Yeah. We also announced our tri-motor car, the Sapphire, which is the most powerful sedan ever made, at 1,200 horsepower and 0 to 100 in 4 seconds. I like it. I think it's amazing, but very cool. Limited run car, but wide body, a little bit wider body and stuff like that. But very, very neat piece of kit.
So when you have such an advantage towards the traditional manufacturers who are now coming out with so many electric vehicles. But we from iCar, we look always on the educational side of it, what the technician has to know. So since most likely a Lucid will not be in the aftermarket, in the not, can I say, uncontrolled environment for you guys, that it goes somewhere and gets repaired. So you educate your partners what you're selecting and give them the knowledge what they need, and the let's say the regular traditional manufacturers who have their collision repair networks, there are like thousands and thousands of people who have now to get trained on this electric vehicle technology. So That's your big advantage is you.
Well, yeah, and the challenge is that what you worry about is that somebody just assumes that your car is like another car, like another brand X, because they both will use electricity, that they're the same, and that's where you can either hurt the car or the car will hurt you. And like I said, it's a very powerful car. It's got some simplicity to it once you understand how it works. There's fewer parts. There's no fuel system. There's no transmissions and exhaust systems and all these things that you deal with on gas cars. There's a lot of simplicity to it once you understand how it works, but also a new set of things that you need to be concerned with when it drops off after a crash. You need to understand state of charge. You need to understand that currently we do not have a service mode, so you need to power the cars down so they don't continue to draw voltage because you got open wiring or broken lights or doors that are busted in, things like that keep the network awake. And you got to remember, these cars don't know they're in a body shop, so power them down so you don't use up high voltage power.
So do you have their special tooling for the battery balancing process and discharging process of a battery?
We do. I actually was involved in 3 of Hurricane Ian's cars last week.
Nice.
And we discharged all 3 packs, and we had to remove the packs from the cars to do it.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm a little bit involved in the Hurricane Ian side of things as well. So what I know, and it gets interesting that you said there were a couple of Lucids involved. I learned that in this flood line there's around 6,000 electric vehicles registered, and that flood line was determined everything higher than 3 feet. So possibly that 6,000 electric vehicles went in saltwater condition underwater. And now it's a question, how good is the battery enclosure? Was it sealed? There's, I think, 27 cars already burned down, what I heard last time. So it's a huge deal. So how many Lucids you had? 3?
Yeah, we had 3, and I'm happy to say all 3 were dry on the inside of the pack, which was great. But I tell you, that's a whole new vocabulary for shops to learn, and and that's what I said, when they go through, all of our training team does a magnificent job with hands-on training that is mechanical and collision. And so I encourage you, even if shops have dedicated body techs and dedicated mechanics, I would have both groups go through both courses. Have the mechanics take the body course so they understand what we're dealing with.
So where are they going for training? Where is this training available? And it's of course only for your selected partners.
So, today it's in Millbrae, California, which is just outside of San Francisco.
So how many days, when I would come and say, hey, I want to learn about the Lucid electrical system and how to work on, how many days is this training currently?
The collision repair course is a week long.
Okay.
And then the mechanical electrical trim is another week.
Another week,
and we're working on a cosmetic aluminum repair course as well. So Aaron Lewis, our training director, does a great job putting that together and keeping tabs on the network on who needs training and who's done what. So I think it's invaluable for everybody in the repair in the shop, from estimator to owner to manager to technician.
So you have a requirement, and for those guys who become a Lucid certified collision or network shop, they have to go.
Correct. Yep.
So, and you determine also on the size of the shop how many people they need for the electrical side and for the collision side?
It's basically how many we're going to be working on it. I think it's a minimum of 2.
Okay.
But it's one of those things that we highly encourage people that are going to interface with the car to do it. Because even if I were to hand you the keys right now, even driving it is different than a regular car. You kind of have to know how it works to make it go. And so they send us through a whole driving course before they allow you to drive one. But it's just very different. And I think that's important. You got 1,000 horsepower on tap. You don't want to throw that thing through the wall. You know what I mean?
So you came to our Chicago training center, and I know Bud Senner, my colleague, had the chance to drive with you, and he is an ICE guy. He likes those big block engines and big cars. And
I think I changed his mind.
You changed his mind. He always complained about you with your electric vehicle.
Well, we actually had Bud and his son in the car, and they got to see what sprint mode is. So we have 3 drive modes in the car. So you have smooth, which is basically like float on a cloud. very predictable power, very good on range, very soft suspension, all that, right? And then when you go into sprint is more like performance sedan. Think of E63 AMG or M5, you know, that kind of thing, right? Cornering, right? And then you have whip everybody at the car show mode, and that's sprint mode. And I mean, it's just amazing something that a car like that can perform like that. It's just unbelievable. So.
We have a Ford Mach-E in our training center, and what you can do with them is like you can make this, it's called one pedal drive, so that you regenerate and the car decelerates really strong, or you can go on two pedal drive, that you have to really, like on a regular car, and use your brakes and let the car coast. Is this possible?
we have a couple of different things. So we have obviously you can set the regen, how strong you want it to be. I'm a guy who likes it all the way up, and you actually will see the miles tick up as you come off the interstate and regen all the way down the exit ramp. You'll see the miles go up in range, right? But then we also have a creep mode. Creep mode, yeah. So creep mode is like what an automatic transmission would feel like when you let off the brake and it starts to creep. So that way people that are coming from an ICE vehicle, they're like, wow, it's not going. And it's like, well, yeah, it's in hold mode. So you can put it in creep mode and it will behave like a regular automatic gas car. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool stuff. So I learned a lot. So training in California for you guys, week collision, a week EV training. So, you know, when it comes to the EV side of it, so when I disconnect and I want to disconnect in Lucid Air, what is the procedure of doing this? Is this like, do I verify after I disconnect somehow? Do I have a verification spot where I can come and say, okay, the system is really down, I'm safe here, safe to work?
Yeah. So number one, you're going to want access to our diagnostic platform LDS. So you can monitor the battery voltage at the pack level, right? So we have a fireman's loop that you pull, and then we have two 12-volt batteries that you have to access, and then we have for our DC to DC, we have a 12-volt on the front of the pack as well. You can get to it through the driver's wheel well, but it's kind of tucked up in there. You might need to turn the wheel to get to it. It's a single plug to pull it. But then it's a waiting game. You're going to watch the LDS, and you're going to see it go from 900 to 850 all the way down to about 50. And then you're safe to go in there. But I actually, when I was going through the mechanical training, I timed it. Because I know people are going to ask, like, how long did that take? And then it was like right at 17 minutes that it took to power that car all the way down from the 900 volts. So, you know, it's not just, hey, we've got a new car in there, go get your 10 millimeter and jump in there and start working. You need to give it time to power down, you know?
So are you using also a mechanical tool like a multimeter to verify it afterwards? To say, okay, I'm not sure, I want to make 100% sure.
And, you know, and for a guy like you, that ain't no big deal, because you've always done that. But I'm going to tell you, I was shaking like a stick first time I had to do that. Because, you know, you're putting all the gear on and you're inflating the glove and all the stuff I've seen in ICAR classes. I'm like, man, these guys are real. This is happening. And the guy is standing behind me with that Grim Reaper hook, you know, waiting to grab me. And they're yelling at me not to use two hands. And I'm like, is this the end of my days? You know, and my hands were shaking, dude. I was scared, you know. And so you never thought about it. Like, I've been working on cars my whole life and been a gearhead my whole life. I never worried about one killing me, you know? So, you know, that's something that as repairers, we got to be ready to face that. And I'd read the procedure front to back. I knew what I had to do. But it was a psychological thing getting past, because you see all these orange wires, and he's like, yeah, stick that metal probe up into that. I'm like, no, man, I got a lot to live for, dude. I don't think so, you know? So it's the kind of stuff I would never want to attempt something like that without the correct diagnostic tools and the procedure and all that, because you're just asking for a problem.
So I know exactly what you're talking. Every time, and I personally disconnect the vehicle, and I do it, I don't know how many times I did it.
I've seen you lick your fingers before. He's like, I got this, no problem, you know.
So every time I touch this high voltage disconnect or whatever the repair procedure is, or I open a cable, my blood is going up. My blood pressure is going up. I feel like I get a little sweaty hands. I'm every time nervous. I think I know what I'm doing, but I think I will never lose this.
All of a sudden you're thinking about, did I forget something? Did I miss a step? Did I overlook something? Did I take a phone call and I should have been paying attention? And you know, I think about how busy some of our body shops are and how easily distracted and we go squirrel and we forget about what we're supposed to be doing.
Yep.
And you just can't do that with these cars. You really can't.
No, I think at this point, most important thing is that we educate this industry.
Yep.
And guys like you are at every show and really help educating. And I'm really, I want to thank you from everybody here in this industry that you guys so active.
I got to give it to Jeff Peavy. He said, if you love this industry, it'll love you back, and that's 100% right. And it's always been good to me, and I love the people that are in it.
Yeah. So, any final statement you want to make?
I don't know. Did we miss anything?
I don't think so. I think we covered it all, what I had in mind. So
I don't look at it like doom and gloom. You know, it's an exciting time in the industry. It's a chance to learn some new skills and learn things that honestly will set your business apart. And I love seeing that iCar is playing such a big role in that, and thankful to be there as well.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thanks,
you
guys.